You know, if you were to tell me that a Kirby game would be one of the most anticipated Switch games of 2022, I'd call you crazy. But considering when the time where Pokemon has become Sonic, the Nintendo Sports Trilogy is a thing, and Sora got dispatched before Waluigi did, what else is new? Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a game that was released on the Nintendo Switch on March 25th, 2022. Now, unlike other Nintendo series such as Pokemon, Mario, or Zelda, I know basically nothing about Kirby. The only things that I do know is that he had an anime back in the early 2000s, that he, Meta Knight, and King Dedede are in Smash, and that he's Sakurai's Golden Boy. To my knowledge, this is Kirby's first 3D outing, as the series has been relegated to 2D. So, did Kirby manage to make the jump to 3D successfully? Or did he fall flat on his face like Pokemon and Sonic did when they made their transition? Let's find out, shall we? So, this game starts out with Kirby and the inhabitants of his world, the Waddle Dees, getting violently isekai'd into one of the worst possible worlds. Ours! But hey, it could have been worse. At least we aren't there. One thing I love about this tutorial is that it gets straight to the point. It teaches you everything you need to know right out of the gate, and it's all fairly easy to grasp. I really love the atmosphere of this level. It really feels like you're taking your first steps into a new world. Speaking of, the graphics in this game are amazing. Easily one of the best looking games on the Switch. And the music here is phenomenal. I can't get enough of it. It really makes you feel immersed in the game. For the most part. The framey dips on things that are too far away and the pop-ins are just horrendous. But hey, Pokemon fans can take solace knowing that Legends Arceus isn't the only game on the Switch with graphical problems. So, after completing the tutorial, you rescue this thing. His name is Elfilin. He's basically the Navi of this game if she knew where to shut up! Here you learn that the Waddle Dees have been kidnapped, and it's your job to rescue them. And that's pretty much it as far as story is concerned. Until the end of the game, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, one thing you'll notice is that this game feels very similar to Mario's 3D outings. Most noticeably, Super Mario 3D World and Odyssey. But hey, there's nothing wrong with stealing from the best. From the level structure, to the way progression works, to the new power Kirby has, as well as the general vibe the game gives off. However, the game is able to put its own spin on these ideas, and by the time all is said and done, the game is able to forge its own identity. This game is divided into 6 different areas. There's your standard grassy intro area, your beach area, an amusement park area, a snow area, followed up by a desert area, and last but not least, Crisis City! Oh, thank God, I thought I was playing the wrong game there for a second. Each area is divided into different levels. Your job in these levels is to get to the end of them while rescuing the Waddle Dees. And you do that by completing missions. These missions can range from anything, from eating a specific food, to finding a secret somewhere in the level, or clearing the level while fulfilling a certain condition. In all honesty, they're not difficult. Now, the real difficulty lies in figuring out what the missions are in each level. One thing I really do love about this game is the level design. No one level feels the same. Each level is truly unique, which is a problem that even Mario runs into. You can tell they got really creative when making these levels, as they are oozing with creativity. You're always looking for collectibles and secret areas, and they feel so rewarding when you find them. Although, you won't have to venture too far off the beaten path to find them. Once you've cleared all the levels in a specific area, and have rescued a certain amount of Waddle Dees, you can take on the boss of that area. I never found getting the required Waddle Dees a problem, since I would always find myself way above the minimum amount I needed in order to continue. Overall, this game isn't very demanding, which is something I do like. However, it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of difficulty. This game has 2 modes, Spring Breeze mode, which is this game's easy mode, and Wild mode, which is this game's hard mode. Although you wouldn't know the difference because this game is easy even while on Wild mode. I swear, I sometimes forgot I was playing this game on wild mode. I'd go to change the difficulty only to realize that, yep, you're playing on this game's hard mode. I only died once, and that's because I was being an idiot on this part. How was I supposed to know I had to avoid picking up this ability? I've never seen it before! Granted, it does get harder, but that's only for the final boss and the post-game. But there is one part of the game that is challenging. You see, there are these challenges called Treasure Roads. They're a test to see how good you can wield a specific copy ability or mouthful mode. You can unlock them by playing the game normally, or by searching for them in the overworld. They're not too hard to find, just go to a spot that seems interesting and you'll find it. Granted, completing these isn't too difficult, but the real challenge is completing it within the target time. To do so demands perfection. I'm not kidding. You have to be perfect in order to clear it within the time limit. One step up and you can kiss clearing it within the target time goodbye. And to add insult to injury, the rewards you get for doing so aren't even worth it. All you get is a few extra star coins, which is this game's currency. I wasn't desperate for them since you get a few extra coins in wild mode. Not to mention, clearing all the target times isn't necessary for 100%ing the game. So I just didn't bother doing them. Your main hub is Waddle Dee Town. You can upgrade it by simply saving Waddle Dees. Now, I was scared that I'd be able to unlock everything in this town real quick, but luckily, that isn't the case. This town is constantly expanding, with new things being added such as shops and mini-games. I really like these mini-games. They're a nice change of pace and are a fun distraction. Except for that one where it requires you to use motion controls. That one can go straight to hell! Seriously, Nintendo, stop shoehorning motion controls into every one of your games! No one likes them! Kirby even has his own house. Granted, you can't really do much. The only things you can do are watch him sleep, read up on past adventures, and look at some pictures. But it's a feature I appreciate nonetheless. There are a lot of things to do in this town. Enjoy a meal, listen to the band, or even waste money on some gacha machines. There's even a Coliseum, which is this game's boss rush mode. You even get to fight Meta Knight here. Now that's really cool! Sadly, just like the rest of the game, he's super easy. Man, your glory days are long behind you, aren't they? But don't worry, Meta Knight isn't the only Kirby character from Smash. King DDD is here as well! I've been told he's the main antagonist of the series, similar to how Bowser is to Mario, or how Dr. Eggman is to Sonic. Since that's the case, surely he'll be challenging, right?
A few moments later.
Well, that's disappointing. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, the copy abilities! You see, copy abilities are power-ups Kirby gets when swallowing specific enemies. There are different kinds of copy abilities, such as the sword ability, the fire-breathing ability, or the ability to explode.
Trunks, Bulma, I do this for you. And yes, even for you, Kakarot.
These abilities play very differently to one another, as they each have their own strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, it comes down to preference to which one you prefer to use. Now, you can evolve these abilities at the weapon shop in Waddle Dee Town. However, it's a bit of a process to do so. The first thing you need to do is to find a blueprint for said ability. Then you need to spend a certain amount of star coins and rare stones in order to evolve them. You can only evolve them a certain amount of times, but once you clear the main campaign, you can power them up even more by upgrading them. But trust me, you won't need them. They're a hassle to fully upgrade, and by that point in the game, you're already overpowered. Then there's Mouthful Mode, which is a new ability they added to this game. For certain objects, Kirby can stretch around them and can gain attributes based on said object. My personal favorites are the Arc and Car Mouthful modes. You're always in for a good time whenever you use them. Now, this next part contains spoilers for the ending as well as the post-game. So, If you don't want to be spoiled, go to this timestamp. So, after embarrassing King DDD, he decides to kidnap Elfalin. You track him down and he challenges you to another fight. Listen man, I can appreciate the effort, but let's be real, it's gonna turn out exactly the same as last time.
A few moments later.
So you beat King DDD and you find out he was being controlled. But suddenly, a group of enemies charge at you, and in an act of redemption, King DDD sacrifices himself so you can escape. So you take an elevator to this abandoned lab and learn this being known as the ultimate life form. Ready, Kirby? First you steal from Mario, and now from Sonic? Come on, show some restraint! Anyways, you learn that this being landed on Earth a long time ago with the goal of destroying it, but was eventually captured. Scientists studied it and managed to create warp technology. However, something went wrong and a new life form was created from it, and since then it's been dormant, with said life form being Elfalin. So you go on and fight the guy pulling the strings. This guy! Seriously, who is this guy? They've done nothing to set him up. His motivations are explained via exposition dump. We don't even get to know his name until just before the fight starts! Seriously, you didn't even try to set this guy up! I know it sounds ridiculous complaining about the game not setting up the final boss when it has been light on story, but come on, you at least have to try to hype him up. You couldn't have shown us a flashback of him or something? For crying out loud! Sonic knows he needs to do this! And you know you screwed up in that department when Sonic does a better job than you! Anyways, back on topic. His goal is to have the ultimate life form become whole and gain its power. And if anyone stands in his way, he'll destroy them. Yeah, we'll see how well that works out. So you defeat him and free Elfalin. However, you learn that Dengar is being controlled by the ultimate life form. Here he says screw it! And absorbs everything around him and chases Kirby. Man, this guy never learns, does he? However, he does manage to absorb Elfalin. So you follow him up this building, and you begin your fight with the ultimate life form. Oh, wait a second. Wrong game again. That's the one! In all honesty, this boss fight is kind of difficult. If you aren't careful, you're gonna be in a world of hurt. Trust me! I really love how it feels like you're up against a being of immeasurable power. I mean, come on! If him throwing meteors at you isn't gonna convince you how powerful he is, I don't know what will. But with all the power at his disposal, it still isn't enough to defeat Kirby. So, you manage to separate and free Elfalin from his other half, but he still refuses to go down. In a last-ditch attempt, he decides to destroy this world and Kirby's. In order to stop him, Kirby makes an uneasy alliance with one of the greatest villains in all of anime, Truck-kun. Together, with the power of Elfalin, you enter a Dragon Ball-style beam circle and ram into the ultimate life form, returning to your world. However, upon returning, you learn that your world is being torn apart. In order to save it, Elfalin makes the ultimate sacrifice and uses every last bit of power he has to return everything back to normal. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this here. Man, you didn't even stick with it for 30 seconds. So, the rift is repaired, and you're able to go back to the Forgotten World. Here you learn that Clarine has been trying to find Linegar, but hasn't found any luck. When you go talk to her, a rift appears out of nowhere, and Kirby is once again isekai'd into another world? Really? Twice in one game? This piece is called the Isolated Isles. They're essentially like the special worlds from Mario. You're able to replay segments from old levels from a specific area. At the end of each level, you have to face the boss of that area. If you aren't prepared while going into these levels, you're in for a rude awakening, and that's especially true for the bosses. I nearly died a couple of times fighting these guys. They all are exceptionally difficult, except for Chlorine. I feel like she's easy no matter what world you're in. Just like the other levels, your goal is to get to the end of it. However, unlike the other levels where your task is to save the Waddle Dees, here, your task is to collect the fragments of the Leongar's soul. You see, his soul was shattered into fragments, and it's your job to collect them. Now, when I learned that each level had around 50 soul fragments that I had to collect, my jaw dropped. I thought these were going to be a nightmare to collect, but surprisingly, that wasn't the case. Since each level is divided into segments, that means there's only a certain amount of soul fragments in each one. Once you collected all the soul fragments, Elflin will tell you that you've got them all, and not to spend any more time there. I really like this. It makes what could have been a nightmare of a task actually really simple and straightforward. Now, you will miss a few, trust me, you will, but you'll more than likely get them all at your second attempt. So, after collecting all the soul fragments, you travel to the final level and save Leongar. We even do a little dance to commemorate the occasion. How cute! However, we quickly find out that he's still under the control of the ultimate life form, and you enter what is easily the hardest boss fight in the game up to this point. Seriously, if I didn't decide to buy a life up before this fight, I don't think I would have made it out of this one. So, I somehow managed to beat him, and the ultimate life form leaves Leongar. And then, I wish I was kidding, a random butterfly appears and merges with it, becoming Morpho Knight. I don't know how that works, but hey, I'll take it at face value. Look man, if Meta Knight was anything to go by, I highly doubt it'll be much of an issue.
A few moments later.
Oh god, oh dear god! I was joking! Can't you take a joke? Please have mercy on me! Oh dear god! He has another sword! For the love of God, someone please help me! This boss is no joke. He is easily the hardest thing to come out of this game. If you thought Leongar was tough, this guy is on another level. My best advice is to stack up an attack and speed boosts, bring an extra life up, and try not to get hit as much during the Leongar boss fight. Trust me, you're going to need as much health as you can when going up against Morpho Knight. So, after that's done, it looks like Leongar has truly kicked the bucket. But don't worry, Leongar's friends managed to find the fragments of his soul and save him. You then get access to the most powerful copy ability in the game, the Morphle Sword. This allows you to vanish for a brief period of time, as well as grants you a bit of health every time you pull off a combo. Now, you might think with Leongar being saved, it means the end of the game. But that isn't the case. You see, if you go to the Coliseum and enter the Ultimate Cup Z and reach the final boss, you find out that the Ultimate Life Form is still alive! Seriously? Doesn't this thing ever die? This time, it's no joke. He pulls out all the punches. From summoning Spears of Light to opening rifts, you name it. He even has his own Susanoo. And even after defeating him for the 6th time, he still refuses to die. If he didn't want you dead then, he does now. It tries everything and anything to wipe you off the face of existence, even going as far as to set everything on fire. You have to be careful here, because one wrong step and it's gonna cost you dearly. In all honesty, if I didn't have the Morphle Knight ability, I would have been dead real early into the fight. So you beat him for the 7th time, and this time he finally admits defeat and merges with Elflin, signifying the end of this monstrosity. However, there's still one more thing we have to do, and that's collecting all the figures. Now, figures are basically the Korok seeds from Breath of the Wild and the wisps from Legends Arceus. There are a total of 4 sets of figures, and you get access to the different sets as you go throughout the game. However, which figure you get is completely random, so you'll have some duplicates in your collection. Later on, you get access to gacha machines for specific sets, but they cost star coins in order to use, with each set costing more and more coins, with set 4 costing 100 coins. When I learned about this, I thought these were nice collectibles. However, I was mortified to learn that in order to 100% the game, I needed all of them. And to make matters even worse, only certain figures can be unlocked by fulfilling a certain condition. I was certain this part was going to be a nightmare, but surprisingly, it wasn't. You usually get most of these special figures just by playing the game. So, if you're doing everything you're supposed to, they're no big deal. In fact, once I beat the game, there were only a few figures that I needed to get. Not to mention, there's a trader Waddle-Dee at the end of the game that is willing to trade you rare stones in exchange for the figures you don't have yet. So my plan was this: use the gacha machines to get all the figures in sets 1, 2, 3, and then move on to set 4 since those are the most expensive ones to get. Once I've spent all my coins, I would go to the trader Waddle-Dee to get all the figures I don't have. Then go to the Coliseum, grind for store coins and rare stones, and repeat the entire process all over again until I get all the figures. But surprisingly, I didn't have to do that. I was able to get all the figures I needed through the gacha machines with a few coins left over. I was then able to trade all my rare stones to get the final few figures I needed to 100% the game. I have to say, I was blown away by this game. I really did enjoy a lot of things this game had to offer. Is it a perfect game? No, but that didn't mean I didn't enjoy my experience with it. If this is the direction the Kirby franchise is going in, then count me in. Overall, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a game that is short and sweet. It's a game that has a lot of stuff packed into it, but isn't too demanding all things considered. If you're a Nintendo Switch owner, then buy this game. Trust me, you won't regret it. So, where do I put this game in terms of a tier list? I put it in S tier. Although, I am curious where they'll take the franchise next, and how they'll build off this game. Only time will tell. But for now, Kirby fans can take solace in knowing that he successfully made the jump to 3D. Unlike some other series.